Can you share an instance where a marketing campaign didn't go as planned, and how did you pivot to turn the situation around?
Oh gosh, that's a very specific question. Marketing campaigns usually don't go as planned, actually. Like marketing is a game of failure like baseball. But like Hall of Fame baseball players have a 300 batting average, I think. I'm not a baseball total junkie, but it's a game of iteration and failure. Like I think school programs us to be averse to failure. It teaches us to like memorize and regurgitate stuff instead of thinking creatively. And when you try to do a creative thing and it doesn't work, the education mindset is that you did something bad. The entrepreneurial mindset is that you're doing it exactly as you should. So, if you have a marketing campaign that does work, but maybe it's boring, don't touch it, don't break it, scale it up until it does fatigue and break. But a specific example, I have hundreds. So how many harebrained ideas have I tried that just didn't do what I thought they would? Lots. I can't think of any specific example because it's most of the examples, right? It'd be easier to name the successful ones than it would to name the failure ones.
So when a campaign does fail, like how do you handle that failure or setback?
Well, you're just trying to get the data, right? People, I think Russell Brunson said one time, people vote with their wallets. So it's not a personal attack on you. If you do a direct mail or you do marketing and it just flops or it doesn't work, or you do your Facebook post and you launch your campaign and people don't care, it doesn't have anything to do with you. And so failing isn't failing, it's testing, it's fishing, it's iteration. There's data in it, and so many variables can affect all marketing, like the timing, the targeting, the avatar, the messaging, the hook, the story, the call to action, the urgency, the scarcity, right? Seasonality plays a big role for local businesses. You can have a super expensive direct mail campaign hit, during a rainy day and it can crush the results. Or for certain businesses, it would perform better on a rainy day, like a carpet cleaner, for example. On rainy days, direct mail has a bump in response rate because more people are tracking in wet, muddy boots into the house, right? So you pay attention and you try to listen and pay attention to what's being taught to you through the failure because there's answers in it. And if you get personally butthurt by it, you're not going to learn anything and you're going to cower back and pull back. And that's the opposite of what you should do.
Do you ever find yourself struggling to market ethically?
Do I struggle with marketing ethically? No. I think when I was new in business, I felt like I was being unethical by being noisy about my products and services. I don't believe that anymore. You can literally take a false belief and replace it. And I've done that. My worldview now in marketing is, number one, it's your moral obligation to be noisy, to let people know you exist. The unethical people are the ones that are bait and switch. They do a poor level of service. They only care about money. They're not trying to build up or edify their community or their staff or their people, but they're good marketers because they just yell and scream and they're noisy. Whereas like the moral people are quiet and they market like a mouse, and it's a tragedy. Like, it really is a tragedy. The best people often are the worst marketers. So no, marketing is not unethical. If you lie, that's unethical. But the definition of marketing is simply to make known. It's to let the world know that you exist and you have the best stuff ever. And that doesn't mean you're perfect, but it means that you believe in your thing. And if you don't believe in your thing, why should someone else?
What is the key to success?
What is the key to success? There is not a key to success. It's more of a decision for success. I think Tony Robbins said, people say, after 10 years, I finally changed my life. And the truth is that all change happens in a moment, but maybe it took someone 10 years to make that change, right? Rather than, filling your head with more content on the internet, you probably already know the next steps you need to do, but just aren't doing. That's just a reality. Whether you're losing weight, or you want to launch a business or quit your job, you know that there's this big scary thing that has to be done or else you can't have what you want. So you got to do that. And are you going to throw up in your mouth and have a panic attack? Maybe. But the real question is, when are you going to burn the boats? When are you going to make a bet on yourself and go all in? There's not some magical key that is external to you that will make it easier. It starts with a decision.
What is your opinion on entrepreneurs who use their wealth and influence to shape political agendas?
What is my opinion on entrepreneurs who use their wealth and influence to shape political agendas? Wow, that's deep. I think every human that's in a democratic society, actually, the United States is a republic, a constitutional republic. Okay, just to be clear, but we should all use our time, energy, and resources to shape political agendas, including the church. Why would we not do that, right? It affects our whole life. If there's one biggest enemy to entrepreneurs, it's government policy and bureaucracy. So I think they're amazing, but I think it's logical and reasonable. The problem, though, is not with capitalism. It's not with the 32 million small business owners that are fighting the good fight, employing in most of America, that is the backbone of the economy. It's not them. It's these giant international mega corporations that are in bed literally with the government. That's not capitalism. That's basically a form of fascism where the government's colluding with huge companies that have unlimited resources to indoctrinate not just business owners and the public, but children to all these stupid, idiotic things. So we should use our time, energy, effort, and money and any resources we have to try to shape culture and influence government. It is hard, though, with these giant mega corporations doing what they're doing. But those are two different categories of things.
So this is a little controversial, but do you think entrepreneurs should be required to provide healthcare and other benefits to their employees?
Should entrepreneurs be required to provide healthcare and benefits? Absolutely not. Of course not. No, like employment is a two-way street. You have an offer of employment, and the person that could work for you gets to decide if your offer is acceptable or not acceptable. It's what a free market literally is. Now, if you're a smart business owner and you have a better, superior offer than your competitors, you're going to attract the top talent. It's very simple, right? If you have a factory and you pay $12 an hour, and I have a factory and I pay $32 an hour because of my business model and the way that I understand my economics, and if I can provide those benefits, it's in my best interest to have a better offer. But compulsion to do anything, especially by a government, is wrong. And it's usually the result of people that are not producers in society trying to make the rules for the ones that are.
Do you think entrepreneurs have a duty to give back to communities they operate in?
Do I think entrepreneurs have a duty to give back to community? So this is something I've been wrestling with. So I'm not sure about the word duty. I don't like the word duty. I think that most great entrepreneurs have a heart for contribution, especially after they made a lot of money. I'm not talking about the 22-year-old Instagram influencers that pretend like they have money and they rent Lamborghinis. People that have really generated generational wealth and all that. They usually do give back. First of all, they give back by providing opportunity and jobs to tons of people. It's so easy to pick on the guy that had all this success, but he brings a lot of people with him. You know, we want to make fun of the guy that that buys yachts, but he's providing literally thousands of jobs through second and third order consequences of him buying that thing, all the mechanics and the staff and all this stuff. So is it their duty to give back? No. Most of them wind up doing that anyway, because usually the way that people get really successful is because they are above average generous. They're thinkers. They're long-term strategic planners, right? I don't like the word give back either, because it implies that something that wasn't theirs was taken in the first place, which is true in some cases, but it's usually not. You know, it's usually not. You went out and you earned money in the marketplace. You don't have to give back anything. You didn't take something that wasn't yours. That's why I like the definition of dollars as the certificates of good deeds. I made a YouTube about that, actually, or I mentioned it in a YouTube video, that dollars are certificates of good deeds, that dollars are evidence of the good that you've done in the world. And, you know, because people don't understand nuance and they don't know how to use their brain, some jerk off on the internet was like, oh, so the guy selling drugs, he got certificates of good deeds. And it's like, yeah, he did, because the guy that bought the drugs was very thankful for him. Is that a good thing for society? No, but I shouldn't even have to say that unless you're so dumb you don't get that. Yeah, drugs are bad, but the point is when people freely give you the money in their pocket for the products and services that you have available for them, they're saying thank you. They're saying thank you. And so people that have lots of money provided lots of value to a bunch of people. That's like how it works.
Do you think there should be limitations on how marketers use personal information to tailor advertisements?
Do I think there should be limitations on how marketers use personal information? Yeah, probably. I mean, I wrestle with it because I don't want rules, right? I want freedom and liberty, which is what our country is supposed to have, although it's shrinking every day. But at the same time, marketers like kind of ruin everything. I made a video a few weeks ago about the first company, I believe in the 1950s, Dial America, maybe. I can't remember the name of it, but they're the first telemarketing company. So enough people got phones, and so the marketers get involved, and they just start driving everyone crazy, calling them, right? So yeah, those guys made money, but who wants to be telemarketed to? So I guess maybe there should be some rules, I guess. I'm not sure I have a strong opinion. I have to think that through a little bit more.
What are your thoughts on marketers who engage in stealth marketing where the promotional intent is disguised?
Like, are they lying?
Not necessarily. They're just kind of disguising it and hiding it behind maybe some like different phrasing?
I don't know. I'd need a specific example, right? But no, like using persuasion and using choreography to get people to pay attention to you isn't wrong at all. It's marketing 101. That's what you do. I mean, babies are persuaders, right? They cry when they want food, right? Kids know how to get what they want from their parents. Business owners, you, if that's whoever's listening to this, you need to learn how to get people to pay attention. And if you dump everything on them at once, they're not going to, right? So if you have a process where you introduce them to the first part of what you have to offer, or you give value, and then there's a next step that's revealed after they consume the first step, that's just intelligent marketing.
It's a little controversial. Do you think it's acceptable for marketers to target children with advertising, considering their vulnerability and limited understanding?
Yes, 100%. You know, it's the parent's job to raise the child, right? So people that don't want their kids to watch bad things on the internet, like, don't let them watch bad things on the internet. And marketing isn't necessarily bad things on the internet. I have 5 freaking kids, so expert kid maker here, just saying. And I had like a daddy-daughter date with Judah. She's 5. We went to Walmart. We're looking at toys, and she saw this toy and grabbed it and said, I want this one, I want this one. And she grabbed it really fast. She didn't like examine the packaging or anything. And I asked her how she even knew what that was. And it's because she saw it from a YouTuber. You know, the world is shifting. Like, you can be mad at the way things are, or you can leverage the way things are to better your life and to better your staff's life and your family's life. Like, it's up to you, right? So marketing isn't intrinsically wrong. People have this idea that marketing is bad. Why is it bad to let someone know that something exists? Why is it bad that the YouTuber showed this really cool toy that Judah thinks is really amazing? I think it's super dumb, but I'm not the avatar. Judah is. Why would you not want to get that message to her, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And if you're a parent complaining about it, it's 100% your fault. So just take care of business and do your job.
So this is kind of jumping over to a different realm. Should governments prioritize job creation and employment initiatives during a recession?
That question is assuming that the governments have everything to do with the economy, and they have less to do with it than people think. You know, the more that our country starts to view the government as their mommy and daddy and their savior, the more screwed we are. And we might be past the point of no return already, to be honest. Very possibly. But no, like businesses, business owners, personal responsibility, it goes all the way back to the nuclear family, the way to turn around a recession, not having out of control spending, not buying stupid crap you can't afford to impress your friend. Like, we have to have a behavior change at the Main Street family level. Even then, it's normal for economies to expand and contract. But when you have money in the bank and you have skill sets and mindsets that are correct, and you have a strong family and community, and you're a person of value, you're going to be fine, right? The problem is a disproportionate amount of people are starting to become subservient and dependent on government programs. And so I hate questions like that, because the government shouldn't save us, even if it could, because it's super dumb for a society to let the government get to a position where that's the type of question we ask. We need to understand personal responsibility, liberty, and that means taking the bad with the good and taking responsibility over the outcomes that we get.
So this is kind of expanding on that. You kind of touched on it already. What would be your stance on government stimulus packages?
Government stimulus packages. I think people should be their own stimulus package. I think government stimulus packages are super dumb. I think it's a tax on the poor. I don't think it's what it is. You know, it's for dumb people that don't understand what's happening to get excited to get a check in the mail for a few $100 from Uncle Joe Biden, who probably wears diapers in the White House. I don't know. The point is, we are our own stimulus package. Like, your bank account is directly correlated to your actions and efforts and skill sets and mindsets. And if you want your bank account to go up, go make it go up. There is not a better time in human history to get ahead in life than there is for people living in the West right now. There is no excuses at all. And it doesn't mean I don't have empathy for people that have a setback, people that get a flat tire, people that have a hard life. What are we going to compare hard lives? Like, you have permission to live, move, and have your being and go produce value in the world and change the world. Everybody's different, right? Some people make $1 billion, you could make 100,000, but there's zero excuse to wait for a stimulus check from the government ever. It's a tax on the poor. It devalues our currency. That's why bread costs $4 a loaf instead of 50 cents a loaf. It's an awful thing that's disguised as this benevolent charitable act by the government overlords, which are just non-producing idiots.
So do you believe that recessions are natural cycles of the economy, or are they primarily caused by systemic issues that need to be addressed?
I think there's lots of causes. The biggest cause for recessions is group think, right? So recessions are self-fulfilling prophecies. You know, when buying behaviors change, it's because of fear. And so when the fear reaches a certain amount, then people freak out. If you remember during the pandemic, people bought all the toilet paper. Remember that? They had the toilet paper crisis of 2020 or whatever. There was plenty of toilet paper, but because people thought there was this big problem, people acted irrationally and caused the problem. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Recessions are a little bit like that. I think they're also natural. You know, like your body, if you go on a fast, you know, there's autophagy that happens and it eats the dead cells and the different bad things and toxins in your body. I think it's normal for all living things to grow and expand and contract and have ups and downs and peaks and valleys. I think we make it too big of a deal. I think the government gets too involved in it because it's a huge opportunity to control the public. It's a huge opportunity to take a little bit more of your liberty, a little bit more of your sovereignty, to send you a $200 check from the freaking government. This stuff is evil, really. And if there's a slowdown, use creativity and find a way to win when everybody else is panicking. Oh.
Is it ethical for companies to reduce employee benefits and wages during a recession to cut costs?
Is it ethical to reduce wages and benefits during a recession? It has nothing to do with ethics. It has to do with strategy. It has to do with an executive or a CEO deciding to do that or deciding not to do that and finding a way not to do that. There's consequences on both sides, right? You know, the job of a CEO is to not break fiduciary with the shareholders of the company. And if the company is going to go under, you have no choice, ethically or morally or logically, than to cut the fat and survive as long as you can, right? But it could also be bad because people don't want to work for you. You could get bad publicity. The public might be outraged. All of these things have consequences, right? I know when Elon bought Twitter, people were so mad he fired all these people. He had like 90 days of runway and the whole thing would have been done. So him doing it was actually, not only was it ethically okay for him to cut and fire all those people that weren't working anyway, it was his moral obligation to the stakeholders of Twitter to do that thing.
Should the concept of work and productivity be redefined in the face of increasing automation and technologies?
I think the government overlords and the globalists and all these Satan-worshiping weirdos want it to be redefined. I think they want it to be redefined. If you ever watch the movie Ready Player One, to me, it's just like predictive programming setting the table for what they want. They want you to live in a shipping container with unlimited food, porn, and video games while you sit there and you own nothing, right? So this idea of universal basic income and all this, that's what they're moving it towards. That's what they want. That's the ultimate control, right? I think that's bad. Now, I believe AI and automation and robotics, it's fundamentally, permanently going to change everything. There's no doubt about it, right? I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but it ain't going away. So the question you should be asking is, how do I position myself to protect my family? What skills and abilities and what networking do I need to do to get in the right rooms to be able to carve out a spot for me in this new economy? Because it is a big topic. I'm not an expert on all that. I just know that the end game of it is going to be bad for a lot of people because, you know, bread in circuses. And for those that know.
Actually, just expanding on what you were just talking about, do recessions present an opportunity for innovation, creativity, and restructuring of industries?
Yep. That's exactly what they do. Pain is an excellent teacher. When you run out of money, you find ways to make money. Isn't that interesting? I always say people have a panic number. So maybe you're $1,000 person or you're $100,000 person, meaning like when your account goes below a certain number, and the number's subjective, it's different for everybody. But when it hits the number, all of a sudden you become, you know, Hulk smash and you just find ways to solve the problem and get back over the number. It's your panic number, right? It has to do with their identity and all this stuff. My point though, is that when there's pain, you will solve the problem faster and you will find a way, right, to not starve. And people are incredibly resourceful when they have to be. The problem for a lot of people is that they're living on Mount just enough and they have like the golden handcuffs of mediocrity and they're just kind of okay. And so they just let Monday go by and Tuesday go by and Wednesday go by and the whole year go by, not really doing anything to move the needle for their life. Recessions can kind of shake people out of that, which I think is good.